Well, my name is Scott Wilcox, and this is a podcast I've started called Down Holiday Road. And you'll hear today a bunch of collection of songs that I haven't played yet. And it's kind of like a little mini concert. I hope you enjoy it. The first three songs I'm going to play for you are songs I wrote for my kids. The first one's for my daughter Laura. It's a song called Big Dreams Despite Her Size. The next one is a song I wrote for my son Adam. It's a song called What It Takes to Be a Man. And the third one is a song I wrote for my daughter Kayla, and it's a song called Fly. She carries big dreams despite her size, more than we may ever realize. So shy and innocent, she's only just begun to find her way in the world today for her first day in the sun. You can see the love in her baby's eyes. She carries big dreams despite her size. Where will we see her go from here? How will she grow in just 1 year? How fast the time goes by for mama's little girl. She takes it day by day, exploring her newborn world. You can see the love in her baby's eyes. She carries big dreams. When you reach down to hold her hand, you say someday she'll understand why the grass is green and blueness fills the sky. She carries big dreams despite her size. You can feel the love in her baby's eyes. So strong and innocent, someday she'll ask you why. Why do we grow so tall, perhaps to reach the sky? We could learn so much from a baby's eyes. She carries big dreams despite her size. It's called Big Dreams Despite Her Size. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you got little kids, make sure you give them an extra hug from me because they grow up real quick. This next one is a song I wrote for my son. It's a song called What It Takes to Be a Man. You know, my father kind of left when I was a kid, probably about 12 years old, and I never really got a whole lot of words of wisdom from him, you know, because he just wasn't around. So I made sure that when my kids grew up, I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be there in case they had a question, or in case they needed advice, or sometimes just to sit there and be there. So this is a song I wrote for my son just because I thought, well, maybe when he gets older, he might want to know a little bit about what I thought was important in order to be a man. I know a lot of times when I was growing up, I had a lot of questions. How do I know? When? I'm a man. I don't even know yet sometimes. But I want him to know that for all those questions, I'm going to be here. And it's important to me to be there. So this is a song called, it's a song called, here. song called What It Takes to Be a Man, as I said before. So this song, it's kind of different than the last one you heard. It's a little more bluesy, so I hope you like it. When I was a little boy, my father told me, son, life can be a heavy load, take time to have fun. Life doesn't work out just like you'd planned. But here are some simple words of what it takes to be a man. Finer than diamonds, precious and gold. Life is in the moments that can fill your soul. Know when to hold back, when to make a stand. All this I tell you, son, is what it takes to be a man. Someday you'll find a woman with eyes brighter than the sun. Treat her like a treasure and show her off to everyone. She'll make you scream and at times wanna cry. But there's no finer treasure than a good woman by her side. Finer than diamonds, more precious and gold. Life is in the moments that can fill your soul. Know when to hold back, when to make a stand. All this I tell you, son, is what it takes to be a man. The time of your life can lose control. Take the time to feel your heart and search your soul. Let your love grow. Oh, yeah, yeah. Life is like a diamond pulled from the sand. It won't be too shiny unless you work it with your hands. You can make it beautiful and then you'll understand. Love and commitment is what it takes to be a man. Oh, out of the diamonds, precious and gold. Life is in the moments that can fill your soul. Know when to hold back, when to make a stand. All this I tell you, son, what it takes to be a man. Finer than diamonds, more precious than gold. Life is in the moments that can fill your soul. Know when to hold back, when to make a stand. All this I tell you, son, is what it takes to be a man. All this I tell you, son, is what it takes to be a man. That's called What It Takes to Be a Man. So, all right, I'm going to adjust my pedal down here, and then I'm going to take a little drink right here, and then I'll be heading on to the next song. But the next song is a song I wrote called Fly. I'll explain it in just a little bit. Strawberry flavored water, the drink of champions. So this next song I wrote for my oldest daughter, Kayla. In this song, this is a song I wrote for her when she was about 6 years old. I think that's when I started. This song started from a situation that happened when she was about 6. She got off at the bus stop, and now typically every single day she'd get off the bus stop and she'd just walk a half block down to the house, come in the screen door, scream, "Hey, Dad, I'm home," that kind of thing. But this particular day, I was waiting there for her, watching her come in, and when she got off the bus with this other little girl who was even younger than her, and that wasn't a whole lot because she was 6. So this other little girl was about 5. And when that other little girl got off the bus, she looked a little freaked out, you know. The bus started to take off, and all of a sudden that look of shock on her face took off, and she's like, started to scream bloody murder and cry, because that was not her bus stop. So my daughter, like, without even thinking, grabs her by the hand, and she says, "Don't worry." She said, "I'm going to take you to my house, and my dad will help you find your way home." Now, honestly, I mean, Dad could never be more proud, right? That girl, she walked her down half the block to the house, got to the screen door, stood there with this little girl and said, "Dad, this little girl, she couldn't find her way home. She got off the wrong bus stop. Wondered if you could help her out." So we called the bus garage, easy peasy. Bus garage came, apologized like crazy, picked her up, and took her back home. But little did I know that little girl of mine would grow up to be saving everything. I mean, every single time an animal needed to be mending, every single time something was sick, every single time, anything needed anything. I tell you, she was the first one to offer her help. I don't know if you can build that into your kids. I'm fortunate. I've got 3 of them that do that. You know? They're just so giving and wonderful. So anyway, I was lucky because I wrote this song and I got to sing it for her graduation. And it's a song called "Fly." Born in Alabama, your mama's Southern belle. And on that day the azaleas bloomed, we drank its sweet, sweet smell. Baptized by the rolling waves of the Gulf of Mexico. And every day I thank the Lord that I'm allowed to watch you grow. You were born with a special gift and a chance to show the world. Now it's time to let it fly and let your wings unfurl. You never know until you try if you'd ever reach the sky. It's time for my baby girl to fly. You were only 6 years old, you helped a child lost the way. Since then you saved my life each and every day. I thank God in every day that I watch my children grow. God, I apologize for not always letting it show. You were born with a special gift and a chance to show the world. Now it's time to let it fly and let your wings unfurl. You never know until you try if you'd ever reach the sky. It's time for my baby girl to fly. Fly. It's time to spread your wings to see the world and all it brings. You can find all those things if you try. When you fly. See the world and all it brings. You can find all those things if you try. When you fly. when you fly. That song's called Fly. Wrote that for my daughter, Kayla. So thank you. Next song I got for you today. Like most songs, they got a little story to go along with them. As I said earlier, my father left when I was 12. During that time, it was really difficult, because you feel so abandoned. But I was blessed in a lot of ways because my grandfather automatically took up the reins, And he decided, okay, I'm going to step in and be that guy. My grandfather was really a unique guy himself. Before World War II, he was a trumpeter. And he used to play with this band called Wayne King, And it was a big band. And it was pretty big for their time, So he started playing with Wayne King, and then World War II happened. He had all these dreams of, being a professional musician, and just things were looking really good for him at the time. But because World War II started, even though he had a wife and 2 kids at home, he thought the most important thing to do was sign up and go to war. So he did. So he put down his trumpet for a little while, and he went to basic training. While in basic training, they found out he could play trumpet, and Wayne King asked him to play for the troops. So sure enough, Grandpa started playing trumpet with Wayne King for the troops. He did that for a while, and he thought maybe I could do this the whole war, and he didn't. And he got asked to go to Battle of the Bulge. Now, if you know anything about the Battle of the Bulge, it was a horrible Cold War, cold battle. A lot of them froze. A lot of them had a lot of other issues. My grandpa thought he had it easy at first because they would put him in a part of the woods where they didn't think the Germans were going to come through. They kind of just sat him there. They didn't give him a whole lot of ammo, but they said, you're not going to see action anyway, so it doesn't matter. Well, lo and behold, Germans start rolling their tanks through their part of the woods. Germans completely faked out the Americans, and they came in a part of the woods that Americans never thought they would. And Americans did their best, but because they didn't have a whole lot of ammunition, Germans ran right through them. My grandpa was sitting in a foxhole, and I swear as those tanks were rolling up on him, and the bombs were going off, and the guns were shooting all over the place, he could see the trees just fall like matchsticks all over the place. He looked to his buddy and says, keep your head down because they're coming. So his buddy kept his head down, and Grandpa kept his head down too. They waited and waited for everything to stop to see what happened. Well, sure enough, the shooting stopped. And when the shooting stopped, you could just hear people screaming all over the place. It was awful. The trees were just blown halfway off all over the whole woods. There was one lone tree kind of sitting right by his foxhole. And he looks up in the tree, and he says, still to this day he swears, I saw the image of Jesus Christ in his red robe, saying, have no fear, for lo, I'm with you always. So he says to his buddy, hey, look at this. Buddy was gone. So he peeks his head up over the foxhole and sees the Germans rolling in. And he hollers out to anybody, if there's anybody left out there. And he says, smash your guns against the tree. He says, if we can't use them, neither can they. And that's what they did. Germans came in, collected them all, and there wasn't many left. Collected the ones that were left, and they took them to a clearing. In that clearing, they changed them into German uniforms and gave them new boots. And they sent them on a long march. Well, they marched and marched. Along the way, the Americans would fly over and see all these Germans marching in formation through the woods, and they'd strafe them. A lot of them died that way. A lot of them. Till eventually the Americans got smart and they put their German coats into a big USA in the snow, and then the Americans finally got the hint and they wiggled their wings and they never came back. As the Americans started to walk, those new boots that they got had paper soles, so they'd roll up in the snow and just be gone, and their feet would freeze, and as soon as their feet would freeze, they'd go to sleep in the snow and never wake up. wasn't a good situation. They marched over 100 miles in the snow and ice and the cold. They wrapped their feet in blankets or, I think, sweaters or I think something like that. He said scarves, just so they wouldn't freeze their feet. And they made it to this clearing where there was a bunch of trains. And on the trains, they put them into boxcars. And there were other men in those trains already, and they just added them to the other men. They left with 3,000 men in their unit. Only 300 made it to the trains. In those trains, they stuffed them in like sardines, one right after another, packed them right in. And the Americans would fly their planes over the train while they were going and shoot at the train, and one bullet whizzed right by my grandpa while he was praying into the guy's back in front of him and the guy in front of him. A lot of them didn't make it because of that, too. But after that train ride, they dropped him off at a concentration camp. He spent the rest of his time in a concentration camp eating sawdust bread, potato peeling soup, and whatever was scurrying across the floor. Got in a few fights along the way. It was pretty chaotic in that place. But after being there for several months, he was finally rescued by the Americans. When he was rescued by the Americans, he was down to about 98 pounds, and he'd lost all of his teeth from malnutrition. Now, the funny thing is his grandpa, he had actually come to terms with the idea that he could die. He said, it's right in the contract when you sign up for the army. He said, but the part he didn't realize was, what if he didn't die? What if he just lost his music? Music was everything to my grandpa. And he really thought his potential was out there to be something amazing. But because of the war, because of the getting captured, now all that was in jeopardy. Because if you don't have any teeth, you can't play trumpet. So he came back home and he invested his time into my Uncle Bob, which became a band director in Wisconsin for about 30 years. And then he invested his time into me, teaching me how to play piano, and taught me this song called When the Moon Comes Over the Mountain. It had about 3 chords in it or something like that. And took those 3 chords and wrote my first song with those 3 chords, and I've been hooked ever since. But Grandpa was lucky. He got to live to be 93 years old. And when he was passing away, we kind of knew his time was coming, so I wanted to do as much for him as I could at the time. And Grandpa was at the VA hospital, and he as he was in the VA hospital, it was kind of ironic because after the war, the first place he went for rehab was the VA hospital. He spent a long time there before he got healthy enough to get around. Then after he got healthy enough, he started working at the VA hospital as an employee. Worked there for many, many years. And then he retired from the VA. And then after he retired from the VA, he went back and he volunteered. He was in a barbershop quartet, got to sing for all the soldiers, patients, and he loved it. They loved it. Then after that, Grandpa died at the VA. So the VA means quite a bit to us. So before Grandpa passed away, I tried to visit him as much as I could. I went into the VA ward where he was at, and as I go in, I run into this guy, and he's sitting in a wheelchair, and he'd lost both of his legs. And he looks up at me, and he's got this backpack thing. He says, "Hey, can you sing me Amazing Grace?" I am embarrassed to say at the time, I was just learning guitar, and I didn't know how to play Amazing Grace, but Grandpa said if you know 3 chords, you can play a song in history, and so I put 3 chords together and played a miserable version of Amazing Grace for the guy. At the end of the time, he just looked at me and he shook my hand. He said, "You have absolutely no idea how much that means to me." Well, I didn't. But I said, "Thank you anyway, thank you for your service." And I shook his hand and away I went. Well, about 3 days later, I came back again. I thought I'd run into that guy because a lot of times you come to the VA, you run into the same people, but he wasn't there. And this male nurse comes running up to me. He's like, "Hey, what'd you say to that guy in the wheelchair last time you were here?" He was a big guy, so I was a little intimidated. But I said, "Well, I actually didn't say much of anything to him. He asked me if I'd sing him Amazing Grace, and I just sang him the song, and that was it." And he looks at me. It's like, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible." Oh, what I didn't realize was that guy wasn't in there because he lost his legs. He was in there because he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. 2 years earlier in the Persian Gulf, he'd had his legs blown off in an IED explosion. Ever since the day of that injury, he hadn't spoken one word. They call that selective mutism from the stress. And the first words he spoke was, "Can you sing me Amazing Grace?" And the reason why he wasn't there is he said, "Screw you guys, I'm better, I'm out of here," and he left. I know. I kid you not, from the time I was this big, all I've ever wanted to be is a rock star. I just want to be able to play in front of people, inspire them with music, you know? I think we all deserve a little bit of time where we can get away from it all and forget our troubles in a song. So, I've been trying it ever since. I took a little break for quite some time, actually, but it's been a good ride. So this is a song I wrote called Locally Famous, Widely Unknown. I'm going to follow that up with a song called Germany in 43 for my grandpa. They go like this. Locally famous, widely unknown. It's a cake that I'm buying, being needed close to home. And I'm locally famous, widely askew. It's a cake that I'm buying, standing right here close to you. Walked into Walmart, the guy shakes my hand and he says, "That song you played last night made my wife get up and dance." See, she wasn't feeling well and lost her will to fight. But after that song you played, she said everything'll be alright. And I'm locally famous, widely unknown. It's a cake that I'll buy, being needed close to home. And I'm locally famous, widely askew. It's a cake that I'm buying, standing right here close to you. Went to the VA to visit my grandpa. Met a man who lost his legs in the Persian Gulf War. Sang him a little song called Amazing Grace. You would have thought I was Willie Nelson by the smile on his face. And I'm locally famous, widely unknown. It's a cake that I'm buying, being needed close to home. And I'm locally famous, widely askew. It's a cake that I'm buying, standing right here close to you. When I was a young boy, I dreamt to be a star. Now I know that to change the world, I don't have to go that far. And I'm locally famous, widely unknown. It's a cake that I'm buying, being needed close to home. And I'm locally famous, widely askew. It's a cake that I'm buying, standing right here close to you. Yeah, yeah. It's a cake that I'm buying, standing right here close to you. It's called Locally Famous, Widely Unknown. This one, next one's my grandpa's story, and I've already told you the story, so I'm just going to sing the song. Grandma wrote me in the winter of 43. She asked me if I knew who was winning the war. She said Bobby and Sandy were growing strong. She let me know the latest Packer score. And I bent down on my knee in Germany, in a foxhole with bombshells all around. Then I made a promise to my maker and me to make it back to my hometown. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when men fought and died to defend American lives in my hometown. I got captured in the woods in Germany. They took my clothes, they even took my boots. Went for a long march, 100 miles or more. Buddies were dying there by the score. Then I bent down on my knee in Germany, with bullets and bombshells all around. Then I made a promise to my maker and me to make it back to my hometown. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when men fought and died to defend American lives in my hometown. After many months in a German prison camp, eating potato peel and soup in the cold damp, I looked up into that cloudy German sky. I felt that I could cry when I folded my hands. Then I bent down on my knee in Germany. The shelling stopped and you couldn't hear a sound. I lifted up my 98-pound body, and there were Americans all around. Now, 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 now. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when I fought and then survived to defend American lives in my hometown. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when men fought and died to defend American lives in my hometown. I stepped off the plane and kissed my little girl. I'll never forget that smile upon her face. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when I fought and then survived to defend American lives in my hometown. This is real, this is how it was for me, on a field in Germany in 43. This was real when men fought and died to defend American lives in my hometown. That's Germany in 43. Well, that's the end of this installment. I'm going to be doing another one with some more songs. And so I hope you'll look forward to that coming out very soon. So thank you so much for tuning in to Down Holiday Road. You can go to my website at scottwilcox.com, and you can see these eventually all be posted there, so you can watch them there again. You can also see them on Facebook, at my Facebook page at Songwriter Scott Wilcox. You can also see them on YouTube, so I'll have them on YouTube. When you see them on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe so I can build my subscription base, and so that you get notifications of when new ones come out. That'd be fantastic. Also, too, if you really like the songs and you like what they're about, please leave me some comments below. I'd love to know your feelings on this. My songs are really pretty deep. You know, there's about real things that people feel, and so I'd love to know your feelings because, you know, we're all in the same boat together, so I appreciate it. So, again, my name is Scott Wilcox. Thank you for joining me down Holiday Road.